Hello and welcome to another video from Between the Ropes TV. I'm joined again by Josh, the regular Josh. How are you doing?
I'm not bad, mate. You?
I'm fine, mate. I'm fine. Guys, we're just going to get straight into this video. We're going to break down the Gennady Golovkin fight against Ryota Murata over in Japan through Unification for the middleweight belts. It's a chance for Golovkin to be back in the mix for a potential big fight in September. Should he get through this? Josh, how do you see the fight going? Bearing in mind Golovkin's touching upon 40 now.
Well, this is the thing. He'll be 40 on the day he gets in the ring. I think his birthday is the 8th of April. So, I don't know what's a bigger concern. The fact that he'll be 40 or the inactivity. You look back, he's not fought since December 2020. It was October 2019 before that. And, I think it's fair to say it's probably not truly elite fighters that he had in those fights. And I worry for him. I think in terms of a unification, this is probably the smartest route to go. In terms of Murata, he's 16-2. His biggest wins really are Hassan and Dam and Rob Brandt, but both they're also the people he's lost to. He's avenged the losses. He's 36 years old himself, and he's not fought in 2.5 years. So it's a little bit of a bizarre fight, isn't it? In the fact that both are old,
even in that respect.
That's the thing. Obviously, it's in Japan, which gives Murata home advantage. He has fought in the States but lost, so he does tend to fight in Japan. And I just think it'll be a case, I think, of who wants it most. And I think, I know it's not a problem for Golovkin with 36 knockouts in 41 wins, but I think he's going to have to get the knockout, isn't he? I think, to win this. I don't know what you think.
What I was going to say here is, in my opinion, Golovkin, we talk about his inactivity, but his style doesn't lend himself to being a busy, active fighter, does it really? Golovkin's always done his work behind that jab, and provided that jab's still accurate, Golovkin can do his work. I mean, one of the other problems Golovkin's going to have is this guy's tall, he's 6 foot, and he's mobile. Now, we can see he hasn't fought for a while as well, but if he gets on his bike and moves, potentially Golovkin may struggle in terms of cutting off the ring, which is one of Golovkin's major attributes. He uses his jab, he cuts off the ring, then he lands his power shots. But if Golovkin's not able to do that, or he's struggling to do that, that's where Golovkin may find some trouble. That's what I would say. But I guess the other thing that has to be mentioned is, as well as the inactivity, is his focus, because all the talk really isn't about this fight, is it, Josh? If we're honest, it's about September. It's about the trilogy, which he's been banging on about. So, I mean, there's been talk today that Eddie Reynoso's saying that if Golovkin doesn't win this fight, they're going to go for the winner of Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. So do you think that'll play on Golovkin's mind?
It brings a pressure, doesn't it? But I think it's probably a healthy pressure, because if, in fairness to Golovkin, you look at the names on his resume, the loss and the draw to Canelo previously, but I think you'd have to say they're contentious. For me, he definitely won the first fight. I personally did think Canelo won the second fight by a round, but the loss, I think, as we said, it's contentious. But he's also beaten Danny Jacobs, Kell Brook, David Lemieux. He's been in with by far the better opposition, but because he's not been for a while, I think that sort of talk probably helps him, because, let's be honest, he's going to be motivated by that Canelo trilogy, and he knows he's only getting it if he comes through on Saturday. And I think that could, in a way, it's probably that thing. I think this could have been a bit of a banana skin fight, being in Japan especially, but with Canelo hanging over him, that's, for me, is what I actually think Golovkin will win it, and I think he will get the stoppage.
Do you think Golovkin's got a point to prove then? Because there's still lingering doubts about the first fight, arguably the second fight as well. He's got age to potentially argue against. He's got the inactivity to argue against. Do you think he's wanting this third fight to prove that actually he is the man well, it'll be a super middleweight, that fight, no doubt. But do you think he's the one to say, actually, I am the man who's already beaten Canelo, even though he hasn't, but he's thinking that he won that fight, or at least one of those fights, and he can beat Canelo again? Do you think he's got that point to prove?
Yeah, I think he definitely has, hasn't he? And it's probably, well, it is an unfair position for him to be in because he definitely did win that first fight. But I think, you know, he talks a lot about having respect for the sport and he wants a legacy. And for me, he's got to go down as he's definitely the best middleweight of my era, possibly, you know, possibly ever, really, in reality. You know, so many consecutive world title defenses. And he's been avoided as well for a long time, let's not forget. So I think he's got to be in the conversation, certainly. And the other thing that the Canelo Trilogy fight brings is, as you said yourself there, it'll be made at super middleweight. So he's got the chance to not only become a two-weight world champion, but also an undisputed champion. You know, what you've got the motivation of that, forget who it's against, and then you add that actually it is against Canelo, and you can right a previous wrong. You know, I think you're going to be looking at one seriously motivated Gennady Golovkin come the weekend.
I mean, and Golovkin's not one to get carried away, is he? But I guess that's quite a bit on Golovkin there. But what about Murata? What you know, if you're going to be in his corner, if you're going to be head of his camp, Josh, what are you telling him to win this fight?
Well, I think, you know, firstly, you touched on it yourself. I think he's got to get on his bike, you know, get those 40-year-old legs working. You know, he's just got to be, I think the first 6 rounds, how active is he going to be in terms of throwing his own punches? Probably not very. He's 36 himself, so how long can he do that? Obviously, his camp will know more, and none of us know as fans. That's probably an exciting thing about it because we don't know. We've not seen him fight in 2.5 years, have we? So how is it caught up with him, the inactive? The same questions apply for both. But I think he's got to stay on his bike, make Golovkin work, and then you've got to you've definitely got to win the second half of the fight, haven't you?
Especially on your own turf. And there's controversy everywhere now. I don't, especially in our country, we always used to look at other countries and laugh at them. But I think we've been the worst over the past 2 years. Let's be honest about it, Josh.
Definitely.
But
no, we have.
It's you know, if he at least survives and wins more than, you know, if he wins more than 5 rounds, yeah, you know, he's in with a chance, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll get the decision, won't he? Let's be honest. If he replicated that, was on his bike, and then, as you say, won 5 rounds, maybe a 6th, he'll get the decision, won't he? Because it's in his hometown. And for him, in fairness, the motivation will be there because he'll be getting paid well for this. But, you know, he can really crash the party, can't he, then, for the second half of the year. And, you know, Eubank Jr. mentioned before, would Sky, and are they going to get this big checkbook out and try and make that fight over in the UK to get Eubank Jr. a world title shot?
Yeah, if he gets past Kell Brook, yeah, absolutely. You're right, Josh. You said it there. He's thrown himself in a huge financial mix, Murata, if he pulls off this win. But just finally, Josh, just to end it, what are you seeing for your prediction?
I think Golovkin will get the stoppage. I think, you know, yes, we can speculate on age and inactivity, but I think at the end of the day, you don't become a bad fighter necessarily. And it goes for both. They did virtually their full camp, didn't they, in December, which obviously was unfortunately postponed due to the pandemic and the restrictions. But, you know, he's being active. Anyone who follows sort of social media will know he's definitely an active guy in the gym. So I think he'll get the knockout.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just quickly give you mine. I don't think. I think with his age, Golovkin keeps himself in tremendous shape. He really, really does. He doesn't look as though he puts on too much weight outside of camp. Inactivity, yeah, it'll be a problem for most fighters, of course, but I think Golovkin's class, he'll find that timing. It'll probably take him a couple of more rounds to get that timing. Because he's got such an iron chin, I don't worry about him so much taking a few to land his own, because he will land his own, because his jab's that good. You're right, he is, you know, I have him in my top 15 middleweights of all time, like including all the greats. But considering, you know, his lack of quality, he hasn't had that much quality opposition compared to those other middleweight greats. That's the only thing I would say about Golovkin, but I see him stopping Murata. I still think if he was to stay at middleweight, he could clean up. I still rate Golovkin that highly. If you not super middleweight, but if you was to stay at middleweight, I still see him beating the likes of Andrade, Janabek, all those boys at middleweight. I really do. I still think Golovkin's, and I think Murata is not going to change that. No matter if he has another year out the ring, I rate him that highly. So I'm going to go for a Golovkin stoppage as well. Between rounds 8 and 10.
Yeah, I know.
So guys,
I agree.
Yeah. It's. I think he'll get to him late. I think feel him out first. Probably take a few 2 shots and then go feel him out and go for the stoppage once he's cut the ring off. But there you have it, guys. You've had Josh's prediction, you've had mine, you've had our breakdowns of the fight. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.